So we are on the chapter 14 in Bhagavad Gita, where we are speaking, Krishna is speaking about the different modes of material nature to Arjuna. This is text 15. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tatha pralinas tamasi muddhayonishu jayate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Some people have the impression that when the soul reaches the platform of human life, it never goes down again. This is incorrect. According to this verse, if one develops the mode of ignorance, after his death, he is degraded to an animal form of life. From there, he has to again elevate himself by an evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. Therefore, those who are actually serious about human life should take to the mode of goodness and in good association transcend the modes and become situated in Krishna consciousness. This is the aim of human life. Otherwise, there is no guarantee that the human being will again attain to the human status. So many of us, we think, okay, now that I've become a human being, in my next life, I'm just going to go directly to the spiritual world. That, as they say, rest in peace, or this person got liberated, this person is looking at us from heaven, or we have all these misconceptions, but those are not true. Those are just imaginations. What is a reality is that if we are not careful with this human form of life, which is a great responsibility for us to realize, why do I have this human form of life? If we don't do that, then our next life, it depends how our activities have been. If we die in the mode of ignorance, dying in the mode of ignorance could be like dying with drug abuse, overindulgence in drugs. We have seen that, or too much intoxication, and then we die, And then mode of passion could be because of our great attachment. We are so attached to so many things and we die in the mode of passion. Then we will come back again to this material world and continue doing so many activities because we are so attached to our whatever work we are doing, or to our family, or to our wealth, or society, or status. Mode of passion is a lot of attachment to material things. So then we come back again to this earthly planets to again do all these activities. And then in the mode of ignorance, when we die in the mode of ignorance, we are going to take birth as animals. And then again, we have to by the evolutionary process, 8,400,000 species of life, so many lives, trees, aquatics, birds, like that. And finally, coming to a human form of life. That also, there is no guarantee. What is the guarantee? Because again, if we get distracted and our karmas lead us to another species, then, so we should be serious about this human life that we have gotten. Try to make good use of it. Try to hear and chant the holy name of Krishna and make this life the last life. And so we can transfer ourselves to the spiritual world, get a spiritual body in the next life, not a material body in this 8,400,000 species of life. Is there any questions or comments? No, then we can continue. No. The 16th verse. Karmana sukratasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham ajnanam tamasa phalam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery. And action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. So now Krishna is telling Arjuna, what is the result when we act in goodness, passion, and ignorance? So the result of pious activities in the mode of goodness is pure. Therefore, the sages who are free from all illusion are situated in happiness. So when we are engaged in pious activity, because we are engaged in pious activity, our sinful reactions get less. Because our sinful reactions get less, then our suffering gets less. And then with that, we have a general feeling of happiness. But activities in the mode of passion are simply miserable. Any activity for material happiness is bound to be defeated. If, for example, one wants to have a skyscraper, so much human misery has to be undergone before a big skyscraper can be built. The financier has to take much trouble to earn a mass of wealth, and those who are slaving to construct a building have to render physical toil. The miseries are there. Thus, Bhagavad Gita says that in any activity performed under the spell of the mode of passion, there is definitely great misery. There may be little so-called mental happiness. I have this house or this money, but this is not actual happiness. So more or less, most of us are in this mode of passion. And then where we are always endeavoring that if I do this thing, I will get happy. If I make X amount of money, I will be happy. If I buy a better house, I will be happy, or better a comfortable situation, I will be happy. So we are always endeavoring. We are always working that if I work in this way, I will be happy. But the happiness that we get is very little in compared to the energy that we put into this work. And that also, that happiness is temporary. It's temporary. Then another desire comes up in our heart. If after we finished one desire, then we want to have, we struggle very hard. We bought one small apartment, and then again, for some time we're happy. Then we will start thinking, oh, but no, I need a bigger space. If we all have separate rooms, will be better. Then again, we struggle hard. Then we want to work hard again. So that is the mode of passion. Unlimited desires and continuously working. As far as the mode of ignorance is concerned, the performer is without knowledge, and therefore all his activities result in present misery, and afterwards he will go on toward animal life. Animal life is always miserable, although under the spell of the illusory energy, Maya, the animals do not understand this. So if we are engaged in illicit activities, those are activities in the mode of ignorance. If we are acting against the injunctions of the Shastras, intoxicated, always intoxicated, then material nature says, you don't want a human life. So then it's better you take an animal life. Animals don't even understand that they are suffering. They don't know, because their consciousness is not so evolved. So the slaughtering poor animals is also due to the mode of ignorance. The animal killers do not know that in the future, the animal will have a body suitable to kill them. That is the law of nature. In human society, if one kills a man, he has to be hanged. That is the law of the state. Because of ignorance, people do not perceive that there is a complete state controlled by the Supreme Lord. Every living creature is a son of the Supreme Lord, and he does not tolerate even an ant's being killed. One has to pay for it. So indulging in animal killing for the taste of the tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals because God has supplied so many nice things. If one indulges in meat eating anyway, it is to be understood that he is acting in ignorance and is making his future very dark. Of all kinds of animal killing, the killing of cows is most vicious because the cow gives us all kinds of pleasure by supplying milk. Cow slaughter is an act of the grossest type of ignorance. So animal killing is also in the mode of ignorance, and eating animals, then we should know that in this life, I'm eating this poor animal, I'm killing this poor animal. In the next life, this animal is going to kill me. This is the nature, law's nature. This is karma, law of karma. As we see here in every city, in every country, there are the state laws. The government has their laws that if a thief does something, there is a certain punishment. If you murder somebody, there is a certain punishment. So Krishna, the law of karma is if we kill animals, in the next life, the animal will come and kill us. And that's the law. And then of killing of animals, the worst type of killing is killing cows, because cow is our mother. She's giving us milk. Cows are very loving creatures. They don't need anything. They just need a little love and some little grass to eat, and they give us milk, and from this milk we make so many different rich products. Butter, ghee, so many desserts, all comes from milk. And by drinking milk, our brain tissues get more finer, get intelligence. And then we are killing the cows, who's our mother. That is the worst act that we can do. In the Vedic literatures, the words Gobihi Pranita Matsaram indicate that one who, being fully satisfied by milk, is desirous of killing the cow, is in the grossest ignorance. There is also a prayer in the Vedic literature that states, Namo Brahmnaya Devaya Go Brahmnaya Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and world. Vishnu Purana 1:1965. The purport is that special mention is given in that prayer for the protection of the cows and the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are the symbol of spiritual education, and cows are the symbol of the most valuable food. These two living creatures, the Brahmanas and the cows, must be given all protection. That is real advancement of civilization. In modern human society, spiritual knowledge is neglected and cow killing is encouraged. It is to be understood then that human society is advancing in the wrong direction and is clearing the path to its own condemnation. A civilization which guides the citizens to become animals in their next lives is certainly not a human civilization. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by the modes of passion and ignorance. It is a very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save humanity from the greatest danger. So the way the society is moving, we are not educated that we should not kill animals, we should not eat animals. In fact, we are encouraged. So much advertising is done that eat animals so that you can be healthy. And then they are packaged. It's not that if we were to go and slaughter an animal ourselves, would we actually do it and kill it? But now the slaughterhouses are far away from the cities, so we don't even know how the poor animals are suffering. And then we just go to the supermarket to buy the flesh of an animal in a packet, you know. And so we think, oh, it's all clean, it's all natural. We don't know how we are being misled by this modern society. And then by doing such things, our future lives are becoming so degraded. We are creating animal bodies for ourselves. So we should try to raise ourselves by Krishna consciousness, by hearing and chanting Krishna's names and glories, and gradually raise ourselves to the mode of goodness and then transcend the mode of goodness. Is that okay?
Yeah. The prayer that you mentioned is the one that we also do when we offer, right?
That's right.
Right? It's the same one.
Yes, that same one. When we offer bhoga to Lord.
So then why, when we offer, then why do we do that prayer?
Krishna he's recognized as the lover of Brahmana and cows, the protector.
Okay.
He likes to be called by the names of his devotees.
Okay. Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hari Bol. Thank you for joining and have